Luke, your organization had an event, the Israel Summit. It was planned at the Sonesta Nashville Airport Hotel, but suddenly, just days before that event was set to happen, the hosting hotel, Sonesta, canceled the event. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
Yeah, so we have a summit coming up May 20th through 22nd, which is less than 1 week away now. And less than 10 days before the event, I got a phone call late on a Friday evening, and the management informed me that they had decided to cancel our contract due to pressure that they had received from pro-Palestinian and pro-Hamas groups, making phone calls and talking to them and their staff, and they felt like they told me, according to them, that they felt that it was no longer safe for them and anyone in the area, and as well as our entire group. So it was a complete shock to us, and obviously very last minute. And up until that point, we had already told them that we were committed to providing as much security as needed for the event. And were willing to increase security, whatever was needed to make sure everyone was safe. So that was definitely not an issue. But this came completely out of left field for us.
Yeah, and right now I want to address this because you're both in the car right now. Now, Hiram, you're outside of the hotel right now, correct?
Yeah, well, they won't let us in, so we're out here in the parking lot. One of the things that I came to understand about what the hotel communicated to HaYovel was that the police had indicated that they thought it was best, that the Nashville Police Department had indicated they thought it was best to cancel. And so we're trying to get to the bottom of that as well. We're trying to figure out, is it the hotel? Did they make this decision, or did the Nashville police make this decision? And we're in the process of investigating that. But that's really going to determine some of the liability for the hotel, because if it turns out that the police really might not have said that, then that's going to be a real big problem for this hotel.
Yeah, I mean, you look at this, and we've had a series of events around the country now, graduations being canceled, right? I mean, there have been a number of things that have not been able to happen or that schools have made decisions on. Here you have a hosting hotel. And Luke, you were saying that for the Israel Summit, you were all, pledging more security. You were willing to work with them. And those attempts to try to offer those things, they didn't go anywhere. They weren't willing to negotiate in any way to try to, I guess for me, the thing that makes this a little bit shocking is how close it is. You said you found out Friday. This event, as you said, is on the 20th. So it's not much time for you to find another location.
Correct. Yeah. And initially, we were in conversation with them, and we said, yeah, we're willing to provide more security. And they were giving us directions. They told us they were talking to the police department. We said, whatever you guys need, we are willing to do absolutely anything. We're committed to making sure you guys and our staff and all of the people attending are safe. And so we thought we were on the right track with them. And then, like I said, less than, 24 hours later, we got a phone call informing us our contract was being canceled.
When did you sign the contract? When did you guys first kind of go to the Sonesta Hotel and solidify all of this?
So this was back in January when the planning first started for the event. We got a contract signed by the end of January. So this has been in the works for a while now.
Now, Hiram, what most concerns you about this as an attorney looking at the ins and the outs of this, both from the contract perspective, which we should talk about, but also from the free speech perspective?
Sure. Well, yeah, there's obviously a contract dispute issue, but more importantly, there's a federal law, the Civil Rights Act, Title II of the Civil Rights Act prohibits places of public accommodation from discriminating based upon religion and other things as well. But in this case, what you have is you have these agitators and protesters who are anti-Semitic, and they do not want this group to be able to support the Jewish people or to support Israel because of the religion of the people that they are trying to support. That's their motivation. They're very clear about that. And so when the hotel decides to give into that, the hotel is adopting and participating in that kind of discrimination in violation of Title II. There's also a Tennessee state law that's sort of the equivalent of that, that they're also in violation of. So it's because it's a private entity, it's based on statutes like the federal law and the state statute, not the Constitution. But it's the same kind of principle, which is that we don't shut down things simply because there's some heckler who comes along and wants to do a heckler's veto, which is basically they'll complain enough in order to try to create trouble to shut down the peaceful people. That's not how our country is supposed to operate.
So, with that in mind, Luke, actually give us a little more background too, because people, I'm sure there are a lot of questions. They want to understand your organization, what you do, and a little bit about the purpose of the summit as well. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, we're a faith-based 501c3 nonprofit organization based out of the United States, but we operate in Israel and what we call Israel's biblical heartland. And we're simply there to serve and bless and support the Jewish people in small farms and small Jewish communities in Judea and Samaria. We work in agricultural type volunteer programs. We bring Christians from all over the world to, harvest, plant, prune, these types of agricultural projects. And the underlying mission is just to serve and come alongside the Jewish people. This summit was planned really kind of as a response October 7th to educate pro-Israel Americans on what's happening in Israel, to bring the truth and the beauty of the land of Israel and the people of Israel to the United States, and to take a stand against anti-Semitism and kind of the anti-Israel, pro-Palestinian rhetoric that we're seeing sweeping across America right now.
Yeah, and in hearing all of that, those seem like very important, event details. People want to do those things. They want to understand. They want to be a part of it. There are millions of Americans who support Israel, and it sounds like it was a great event that you're trying to put on there. What are your plans if the hotel does not relent? If they say we're not going to honor this, and you're just days away now from this event, what will you do?
Yeah, so we are 100% determined this event is going to continue forward. We're not canceling. We have about 7, 8 speakers from Israel, Jewish Israeli speakers coming. They already have their plane tickets. We have nearly 500 people driving and flying from across America to come. The Israel Summit is happening May 20th through 22nd. It's not being canceled, whether the Sonesta decides to honor their contract or we have to go with a different venue, but it's going to happen.
Now, you guys are there, Hiram, in the parking lot. I assume you were trying to go in and talk with the hotel, or you were there to meet with them, I presume?
No, we just wanted to make sure that you knew exactly where we wanted to have our meeting, and that they won't let us in. I have to wait. I'm a lawyer, so I have to wait for their lawyer to respond. I would like to say that Senator Blackburn has tweeted out in favor of HaYovel and against this kind of discrimination, and she's a great hero of religious liberty here in Tennessee and all across the nation. And we're looking forward to seeing more leaders step up to the plate to condemn this kind of action. Because here's the bottom line, Billy. There's all these kinds of disputes and disruptions and stuff going on the college campuses. It's not going to stay there. It's going to continue to spill out into other parts of our lives. And we're a nation of laws. We don't allow this kind of anarchy. That's why we have the Civil Rights Act. That's why Tennessee passed the laws that they passed to protect people of faith. And so we have to stand up. We have to use our rights under the law and say, look, we've had enough. We're going to go back to normal law and order and following the law and the rule of law.
Yeah, and I have one more question for you. And in light of what you just said, it is important to note, too, that obviously colleges, commencements are happening. Colleges are basically out for the summer. Yes, there are some classes, but the majority of that activity that's been going on, you would imagine they're going to look for another place to go now, because the colleges are not going to be the prime place for the summer where you would gather to host these sorts of things at this point. So that does open up questions of where does this go next? But I wanted to ask you, if it is true that the police told them, hey, you should cancel this, how does that change? And this may be difficult to answer right now, but First Liberty's response to this.
Well, I would really be surprised if the police actually told them that the event should be canceled. That's not a normal response from law enforcement. I'd really like to hear from Chief Drake from the Nashville Police Department to find out if that's really what they said. I'm not so sure that that it just doesn't sound like something that law enforcement would say. I think most law enforcement would probably say that, they can handle it, which obviously we have to invest additional resources, which HaYovel was willing to do, whether it's additional private security or you hire additional off-duty police. But the police force here in Nashville, they're very professional. They're very good. They know what they're doing. It just strikes me as not quite right that they would have said to cancel the event. But we're going to find out.
Okay, so final question, because I said that was the final one, but I have one more. What happens if you do not hear back from the hotel? They do not relent. Nothing changes. What would the next steps be to remedy this?
Well, the next step is to file a complaint with the Civil Rights Commission and to pursue all the available remedies. So you start off by filing. We can either file with the federal government or the state or both, to let them know that we have this problem, and for the government to come in and do an investigation of this kind of discrimination. That's why the laws are in place, and they're designed to protect people of faith, and also Title II protects lots of other bases of discrimination. But for this one, it would be protecting people of faith.
Well, I appreciate you both coming on, breaking it all down. Appreciate your time today.
Hey, thanks for having us, Billy.